Hello VC, this is Roger here. Hope you guys are all staying nice and warm. It's been cold for us down here in Texas, and just wanted to say hi to everyone. Hope everyone's doing good. Wanted to throw an entry into HorrorBiz 100 subs contest. He is asking us to show music, musicians, singers, bands from your region, whether it's in your town, your county, your state, your part of the state, whatever you can get in your region. I know, like he said, some of these bigger towns, you can probably come up with hundreds of different bands and groups and stuff. I'm one of those that's going to have to kind of reach out and kind of go more of a regional aspect. Here in Midland, Texas, I could only come up with one, and I had to research to find these guys. It piqued my interest because I didn't know if there was anybody from Midland. I know further north from here in Lubbock, oh man, there's tons of people from Lubbock in that area right there, but from down here at Midland, I wasn't sure of. So it was kind of neat to do some research and get to looking on these. So the first one I'm going to throw out there is a band called Explosions in the Sky. They're I think they've been classified as post-rock band. They're mainly instrumentalist. There's 4-member band, mainly 3 guitars and drums, and that's it. No bass or anything. Once in a while, one of the guys will get on bass, but for the most part, 3 guitars and a drum set. Instrumentalist, interesting music. Not quite my taste of music, but some people may like it. And they're called Explosions in the Sky. 3 of the 4 members of this band are from Midland. I guess they made their debut in 2000 with a album called How Strange. If you keep seeing me looking down, I've got to look at my notes. I just want to make sure I don't misstate something here. But they're from their debut in 2000. Their most notable entry or thing that people may know, they did the soundtrack for Friday Night Lights, which is the football movie based next door to here in Midland at Odessa, Texas, just 20 miles away. So it's kind of adequate that they were able to do the music for it. I thought that was kind of neat. But anyway, you may check them out. I'll throw a link below to their site, one of their YouTube sites, and you can check them out. They're an interesting group. Number 2 is this gentleman. He was actually born in Seminole, Texas, which is 65 miles northeast or northwest of Midland, but he was raised in Odessa, Texas, like I just mentioned, and that's this gentleman right here, Larry Gatlin and the Gatlin brothers. Larry Gatlin, he ended up playing for Odessa High football team. He was a quarterback. They went to the state playoffs with him as the quarterback. I had always heard that story, but I did not know that he ended up going on to the University of Houston and was a wide receiver for them in a game, if I'm not mistaken, I didn't write this down, where they put up like 100 points in one game. And he was a receiver on one of the touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken, for one of those. But anyway, Larry Gatlin, and he won the Grammy for Broken Lady. This album right here has a bunch of great hits on it. Broken Lady, Nighttime Magic, Sweet Becky Walker, Delta Dirt, I Don't Want to Cry. One that's not on here is the big hit he had, All the Gold in California. So, but he was raised in Odessa, Texas over here. So, anyway, Larry Gatlin. Another one that I thought I had an album of that I got to look and I don't. I guess I'm going to have to pick one up because I've always kind of liked her music. And she's another one that was from Seminole, Texas. She was born in Seminole, but when she was very young, they moved to Arizona, and that's where she made it and got big, was while she lived in Arizona. and that's Tanya Tucker. At age 13, had the big hit Delta Dawn. Ended up with the hits Blood Red and Going Down and What's Your Mama's Name. This I hadn't realized, but I could kind of make sense as kind of wild and everything as she was. She's considered the first female of outlaw country. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But Tanya Tucker, like I said, born about 65 miles from me. Next is another one. He wasn't born around here, but he was born in Vernon, Texas, which is North Texas. But he was raised about 65 miles from here in a little town called Wink, Texas. Now, a bunch of you guys may know who that is already by that right there. That's Mr. Roy Orbison. Little bitty town of Wink. They've got a little museum of his there. I have not been there. I need to go over and check that out. But he started a band when he was in high school called the Westerners, and played on local TV. I think that's correct. In Odessa, played some shows on a local show there when he was young and getting started. But at age 20 in 1956, he signed with Sun Records. Of course, it went on to have great hits: Only the Lonely, Crying, Pretty Woman. In 1987, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And in 1988, he helped co-found the Traveling Wilburys with Bob Dylan, George Harrison, Tom Petty, and Jeff Lynne of ELO. So, another local guy that's done good. So, always like some Roy Orbison. This next guy is kind of an interesting story with him. He was born in 1937 in Meadow, Texas, which is about 100 miles north of Midland, about 20 miles south of Lubbock. So I almost didn't want to include him because he's getting more up in that area, but I wanted to include him because of the story I've got to go along with it. He was born in 37, and my dad was born in 1935 in a little town called Union. This guy was from Meadow, and my dad said this is two little farm communities, little bitty thing. Maybe graduating class may have had 8 people in it, 10 people maybe at the most. So the whole school, maybe 50 people in the entire school, hardly, not many people at all. 80 people at the very most for the entire school system from, first grade up. So little bitty farm communities. But my dad said they'd get together for basketball games or track meets or one thing or another where these two schools would end up being together for some reason. And it never failed. This guy had his guitar there, playing his guitar. And this is in high school, a high school kid. And had all the kids around him because everybody was just eating it up. This guy was from Meadow, Texas, like I said. His name is Sonny Curtis. Many of you guys may know him. But in 1956, he sang on an album for Buddy Holly back before the Crickets. This was pre-Cricket days that he sang on an album with Buddy Holly. Not this one, but on a different one for Delta Records. On a song called Blue Day, Blue Nights. He ended up going on and doing solo work and one thing or another. After Buddy Holly died, he came back and ended up joining the Crickets and became the lead guitarist and singer for the Crickets after Buddy Holly's death. In 2007, he was entered into the Musicians Hall of Fame in Nashville. And in 2012, into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, along with the Crickets, who surprisingly had not been entered in when Buddy Holly was entered in. Only Buddy Holly went in by himself initially, and then in 2012, the Crickets came in. Some stuff I didn't realize, he was noted for his songwriting. and one of his big hits was a song made famous by the Bobby Fuller Four, "I Fought the Law," and the law won. Great song, and I didn't realize he had wrote that. Another one that you older guys that remember the show on TV, the Mary Tyler Moore Show, he wrote the theme song for the Mary Tyler Moore Show. Another one that I know Billy Hirsch may know this, but he may not. I don't know. He co-wrote with Keith Whitley, Keith Whitley's big hit, "I'm No Stranger to the Rain." So, who knew? I didn't realize all of that he was such a big songwriter and had wrote all of these various songs that I knew. But anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. Just my entry in for this area, the region of West Texas, southern part of West Texas, I should say. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope maybe brought some information you didn't know. I know doing my research, I found some stuff I didn't know of. So I thought that was pretty cool. So you guys have a great one. Also, check out HorrorBiz's channel, man. He has got a good channel. Interesting stuff, interesting backdrops. Just kind of look behind him there, but you'll really enjoy his channel, I think. So give him a try. I'll put his link below also, and you guys have a great day and stay warm.